so honored to welcome retired Master Sergeant Taylor to today's episode. With over 25 years of distinguished military service, he embodies discipline, leadership, and resilience. He holds a bachelor's degree in intelligence and geospatial analysis and a master's degree in digital forensic cyber intelligence. Beyond his academic and military achievements, he is a SAG eligible actor with nearly 70 credits across television, film, and theater. On a personal note, he's been a dear friend of mine since I moved to ATL, someone I can truly lean on. He has a big heart. I mean, he's a big guy. And his journey navigating single parenting, co parenting, and balancing a multifaceted career is nothing short of inspiring. So, welcome, Master Sergeant Taylor, to the Single Parent Nation podcast. How
Hey,
are you?
hey, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm at peace.
Yes.
It's been a long time, and finally, we are here.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to do too much. I want you to talk.
Okay.
Tell people about yourself.
Okay. That's it's harder said than done. Or easier said than done rather. But as my intro stated, I am retired Master Sergeant from the US Army. I did 25 years and in various aspects of the military. I started off as an artilleryman long time ago. And I realized that that wasn't the career for me. So fast forward all the way to the end of my career. I mean, I did a lot of jobs, but to the end of my career, and I was a geospatial intelligence analyst. And what that means is essentially I was a satellite spy. Um, we use satellites to move around geospace space to gather information, gather intelligence. And also, I was an aerial reconnaissance chief, which we use fixed wing aircraft, planes, drones, things of that nature to do aerial reconnaissance on enemy targets. So once I retired, I didn't realize how bored I would be. So I decided to go back to school and earn my master's degree. And I needed something that would really challenge me because I get bored very easy.
Me.
So I decided to jump into intelligence, into cyber intelligence rather, which is one of the hardest career fields you can get into, especially if you don't have a base knowledge in computer science and cybersecurity, which I did not have. So I had to take what they call a bridging class to very quickly teach me just the terminologies. But after that, you're on your own. I did that for 2 years in the midst of COVID. So we're going to get into it, I'm sure. But during the COVID era, everything was shut down, so that means my kids were home.
Mhm.
Um, so as I'm going to school, my kids are going to school, and I didn't have that peace that I would normally have to be able to concentrate and focus on what I needed to have done because I have kids hollering in the background. Somebody's upset, they're fighting. You took my pillow or something of that nature. So it was very trying, but I made it through. And in the midst of trying to pursue my master's degree, um, I took a short gap, a short break to pursue acting, and this is where we met.
Right.
I attended a commercial acting class at Actors Breakthrough. It was given by Brett E, a phenomenal commercial actor. Um, so I went through his seminar, and I was like, you know what, I really want to do this. I want to try this. So that's why I signed up for classes, and ever since then, I've been on a little roll.
So, I know when we met prior to you doing acting class, you actually did was it a
I
documentary?
did yeah, it was a
A
documentary.
military documentary.
hmm Yeah, it's called The Portal.
Right. So was there something that sparked like lit a fire for acting when you were doing that?
Not really, to be honest, because I mean it's a documentary, so there's not really much acting. I mean, there's some parts where they were like, can we do that again? And you give us
Right,
a little more. I'm like, I mean, okay, sure, but yeah, it was nothing like that. And spending hours and hours and hours, with the camera crew and traveling. We traveled to a couple of locations, a couple of different states to do this documentary, just for my part. So it was a lot. But I think what it did is it changed my algorithm on social media because that's where I saw it. I had never seen anything about acting on my social media ever until that. So that's when I saw the commercial acting seminar pop up, and I was like, you know what, I need a break. Why not?
right. So now, when we met and we became friends, you were telling me about how you grew up. Can you touch on that? Because I think it was inspiring and it's almost like a E.T. Eric Thomas kind of story.
Okay.
And I also think that, you know, how I grew up was not like how you grew up. And when you told me, I was like, I'm blessed.
Yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't say I was rich growing up, but when I heard, and I'm like, okay, I had nannies, but your
yeah,
story was just completely different. So tell us about that, how you grew up.
yeah. So I grew up in extreme poverty. Uh, most people would call it the hood, or what they say nowadays, the trap. But yeah, I grew up. I was an inner city kid, extreme uh, urban environment. A lot of gunshots every night, literally every week. Someone was getting killed, if not multiple times a week. Someone's getting murdered. Drive-by shootings were a thing. It was almost like a norm. A lot of teen pregnancies, and I mean like barely teen, so 12, 13, 14-year olds. A lot of drugs, heavy, heavy drug use. My mom has succumbed to addiction at that time. Thankfully, she's made her way out of addiction, but heavy addictions were prevalent. Gang violence. Everybody was in a gang, whether you wanted to be or not, because the city was divided by neighborhoods. And the neighborhood that I lived in, although I did not want to be a part of that lifestyle, I was given an option. You either be a part of the lifestyle or you don't. And
Mm,
we all know what you don't means. So I had to become something that I was not, just to fit in, just to survive. So, but I quickly adapted, and I began doing everything that they expected of me. I was robbing, stealing cars, breaking in houses. I don't know how many times we robbed this one store. Poor guy. I hope he forgives me, but we just did so much growing up. One thing I never did was sell drugs, though. I refused to sell drugs because I'm a staunch advocate against drugs. I am anti-drugs in any capacity. So just because it was so prevalent, you've seen how it ruined lives,
mm.
and the death toll was just staggering.
Right. So you missed one part that you had told me about.
What's that? What's that? What part?
And okay, so growing up, I'm a spoiled kid, but I remember so corn. We all know corned beef, right?
Yeah,
But there was a hurricane that happened in Jamaica. I think it was a Cat 5 or
yeah.
4, Gilbert, and every day because we were out of light, every day it was corned beef. So after Gilbert, it was like, what's for dinner? So they said corned beef. I'm like, you mean Gilbert? Yeah, I would complain about corned beef, and like I said, I didn't grow up rich, but we had the necessities.
Yeah.
But when you told me like at one point you guys were homeless.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell you know where I'm going, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. We
Tell them
lived,
about that part.
so we lived in a car for a few months. Well, we stayed with my grandma, but my mom, again, she was addicted to drugs. So my grandparents kicked us out. We didn't have a place to stay, so we lived in a car for a few months. We would steal food from school, from our lunch. I mean, we got free lunch
Mhm.
So whatever we would get, in our lunch, we would save so we can eat it, split it amongst ourselves and share to eat. Um, when we finally got our little bitty apartment, we had a sheet on the window. That was it, just a sheet on the window. We had a old box spring that I found in the dumpster, and then this little bitty like 13-inch black and white TV that my grandmother gave us because I mean it was just sitting in the back room. So I mean we didn't have cable or anything, but back then, if you put an antenna with some foil paper, you'll catch something, which is usually the news. So, but yeah, my mom and my sister they slept on the box spring. My brother and I we slept on the floor, and we we didn't have anything to eat, so we would steal. We would my mom would send us to the store with a list of things that we needed to borrow. um or we would borrow from the neighbors. Um Once my mom was able to get food stamps, we would eat, but it was only for a few days. So we would call it FS day, a splurge day is what my mom would call splurge day. So we would splurge the first of the month, and finally get to eat. But again, that lasted about a good week, and then you're hungry again. So I remember one time my mom had made tuna casserole. Never heard of it before,
Mhm.
but we didn't have any cookware, so she put it in like this glass, like the casserole dish. I
Mhm.
guess she thought she can cook in the casserole dish. So she so she put it up, she cooked it or whatever, and the minute she opened the oven and the cold air hit it, it exploded. So we're literally on the floor on our hands and knees picking out glass and eating this tuna casserole off the floor. Because literally, like I said, we didn't have anything to eat. So yeah.
Wow. So, like, reminiscing on that, how do you feel right now, knowing that, by the way, you retired at 41, right?
Yeah, I was 40.
Okay, so you
Hmm.
retired at 40,
Hmm.
mean you're financially stable.
Hmm.
You don't have to work if you don't want to work.
Nope.
How do you feel looking back from where you're coming from to where you're at now?
Man, I swear I reflect on it every single day. I am truly unequivocally blessed. Um, and a little piece of me uh maintains that same thought process because I'll never go back to that. I don't care what I have to do, what job I have to work. I will never go back to that lifestyle. And more so, I won't have my kids live that type of lifestyle, which is why, I work as hard as I do, and sacrifice the things that I did early on in my life, and in my military career, just to be able to be this stable. I've been to combat a lot. I deployed quite a bit. So that comes, there's some repercussion that comes with that PTSD, and multiple injuries. So thankfully, with that service, I'm able to get a pretty substantial military pension. So thinking back on where I came from to where I am now, it's humbling, but it's also motivating. And I go home, uh, not as much as I would like, but I go home a couple times a year. And I even now that my kids are old enough to understand, I take them around where I grew up. Uh, they are spoiled suburban kids, to say the least. So they don't like or understand that environment, which I do appreciate because I don't want them to like it or feel comfortable in that environment. But just for them to even see, like, holy crap, like you lived here, and I'm like, it's actually nice now, compared to back then.
Right. So some people will say, oh, he's financially stable, he's lucky. Like none
But
of
no.
this was luck. Because I think you said you did 20 something surgeries when you were in.
S so it's crazy. I've done 37 surgeries. Yeah, 37. Uh, and 32 of them were major surgeries. And I'm still feeling the ramifications of that. Every 3 months, I have to get injections into my shoulder. I don't know if you remember when I was in class, I had to have shoulder surgery.
Mhm.
I still have to get injections in my shoulder. I still get injections into my hip. I have metal rods and plates and pins in my fused to my ankle. I have a metal plate, small metal plate in my forehead right here, because I'm hard headed. Yeah, my hand. Well, I got stabbed through the hand. I mean, nerve damage, but I mean, all in all, I'm still one of the blessed ones because I'm here. A lot of my brothers and sisters in arms did not make it. So I got a couple bumps and bruises and bad dreams every once in a while. So I'm blessed.
Right. And I've told you before, you've walked your miles, so you deserve to be retired. All right. So let us get to how you became, because I know when I met you, you were basically a single dad and you were trying to co-parenting,
Hmm.
right? So let's get to that part.
Okay, what you want to know?
Okay, so how did you end up being a single dad?
So we were both in the military. Well, yeah, we were both in the military. And once we decided that we officially weren't or were unable um, to be together. We say unreconcilable differences. Um, yeah, we decided that it was best for us to go our separate ways. With that being said, though, I was transitioning out of the military, so I would have a stable home. Vice, her who was still in the military, having to move around, possibly still go to combat deployments, training schools, those things. So it was just easier for me to take the kids. Well, that was not happening without a fight. So, uh, yeah, so a little back and forth, but finally cooler heads prevailed that it would be in the best interest of the children that um, I get custody, that I have physical custody of the children. So during that time, the co-parenting thing is extremely difficult when you're dealing with someone uh, who is angry or bitter towards you, the person. It's not about you or I; it's about the children.
Right.
Um, but unfortunately, kids get caught up in the middle of whatever the parents have going on, and that's essentially what happened for a good while.
Mhm.
It was extremely difficult.
Yeah, I remember some pieces of it. All right, so let me ask you this. Um, so I know you said you were going to school, you were doing the acting classes,
Mhm.
were single parenting. But my question is, what has been the most challenging part of being a single parent, and how did you overcome that?
Man, the work, personal life, child life balance,
Mhm.
because it is something serious.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody wants their time and attention, and they deserve it. They're children, but daddy needs some time too. Daddy
Mhm.
needs some attention too. So daddy needs some adult time and adult attention.
Mhm.
But it's difficult when you have kids to do that. So trying to strike that balance between I can spend time with you, I can hang out with you, but we're not going to be as comfortable because money's not coming in. I can be a good provider, not a great provider. If I do these things, so I had to learn how to say no, or how to cut things off. It's like I will spend this time with you. I have no problem, but I have business to take care of first, and do it without feeling guilty. Because that was the other part that I struggled with was, when they were much younger, I was still deploying, and I was still working a lot, and I would feel guilty, afterwards when I would come home, or come back from overseas or whatever, and I would overcompensate and I would spoil them to death. I had thousands of dollars saved up because again, you're not really spending any money while you're deployed. So whatever money I had, I would just say, we're doing whatever. Go to the store, whatever you can carry, whatever's on your we're buying it, and it set a negative precedence actually. So after I retired, again, they were still really young at the time. So they still had that mindset of, well, we're gonna go splurge and we're gonna do these things like, no, no.
Right. So it's kind of like you overcame that by setting boundaries, right?
Yeah, I had to set boundaries and find things that made me personally happy.
Right. What would you say? Now that you mentioned that word happy, what makes you happy?
Um, the thing that makes me the most happy is seeing my kids happy, seeing that they're taken care of. And I know that they feel loved, and that I genuinely do what's in their best interest, even though sometimes they don't like it at the time. They don't understand it at the time, but that's what makes me the most happy is them. Now, on a personal note, what makes me most happy is being creative. I love acting. It's actually a form of peace for me. It's not even work. Um, it's just getting a C-mail for an audition, getting a call back, or here lately, I haven't really auditioned much. I just get a phone call now, like, hey, somebody has this project. What are your rates? What do you charge? Okay, so things like that really makes me happy. That's where my joy and my peace are.
Perfect. All right. What's one parenting hack or strategy that has made your life easier? So let's say the kids have school, you have audition, laundry, cooking, cleaning, all this stuff needs to be done. What's one hack or strategy that
Uh,
you use?
oh, look, I put people to work. I delegate. I use my military
Hey.
training. Yes. What I do is I when they were younger, I would make it a game, like a competition.
Hmm.
The first person to fold, I have baskets of clothes, split them up. The first person to finish folding their basket of clothes and put them up the right way, I'll give you $10, or we'll go to what's the name of it? Cold Stone Creamery, the ice cream place, or something like that. And you would see them hustle. Now that now that they're now that they're a bit older, I bribe them. It's just video games, money. I was like, I'll take you guys to the mall, and then, again, I take them to the mall and then I let them go. Like, y'all can just go hang out. Like, really? Yeah. Call me. I'll come back and get you guys a little bit later. And it's just that's the most amazing thing ever. It's like, if that's all I gotta do, that's fine. And even like with my auditions, I have my kids help me out a lot of times. So I made my son, he's like the director, which, audition, you don't need anybody really unless you need a reader, but I have my son standing behind the camera as my director. And I have my daughter as like the scripty, so if I get off script, she'll, no, you did it wrong. And it makes it feel so good to be able to correct me. Um, so just getting them involved in things that I do. But yeah, I delegate. That's a hack. Just, make it fun. They don't even realize they're working. But
Right. So I know you told me that they make their own lunch, right?
hmm hmm
So when you told me that, I was like, you know what? Let me try because even when I make the kids lunch, they complain. No matter what you give them, even if you give them what they want, they still complain. So all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, you know what? Just pack your own lunch.
yeah, yeah,
So I
that's
did that. All right. So how do you handle discipline and boundaries as a single parent?
so as they grow, I give more responsibilities and more privilege. So I can take your privilege and responsibilities away, or I can give you, so with more responsibility comes more privilege. And again, they're teenagers now, so everybody wants to feel older. They want to feel like, they want to do older things. um so I tell them, like, I can talk to you like you're in high school,
Mhm.
or I can treat you like you're in elementary school. The choice is yours. So if you make a simple mistake, that's not life is not over. But if you do something that's egregious, again, the thing I use is the okay. So let me guess, you want to act like a third grader now. Awesome. So I treat you like a third grader, and the punishment is the same punishment I gave them when they were in third grade.
Mhm.
I give them a coloring book, and you got to color inside the lines. Now do your ABCs, and on the paper you had to write it all out, A like 30 times, and B, yeah, you got to do the whole book. Write it all out. This is what Daddy needs you to do because you're a little kid, and my mom says it's psychological warfare. You're not in the army anymore. You can't do that to your kids. I'm like, absolutely can,
Mhm.
absolutely can. So, and mature disciplines are just simple. No electronics. I turn off the Wi-Fi. And yeah, I turn off the Wi-Fi, and then once your chores are done and I check, then I'll cut the Wi-Fi back on. And I don't know, what your service is, but my service provider, I can just go by device. I don't have to just cut it off for the whole house. I can turn off your particular, iPhone.
I do
And
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I caught them cheating a little bit. My son was using his sister's stuff. So I was like, well, you lost your privileges too now. I cut everything off.
So I did that. I had Comcast and I was doing that, right?
Mhm.
And here's what Wisdom did. She connected to my mom's hotspot. So then
Smart.
it worked for a while. But anyway, what
Smart kids.
wisdom? What's a proud moment you've experienced with your children and how did that make you feel?
So I like when they get it. And I'll share a real story what happened. So my daughter comes home. She was distraught. She didn't say anything. She was really distraught. And I asked her a few times, "Are you okay? What's going on?" She didn't want to talk. So okay, back off, let her be. Um, so she finally approached me. She's like, "Can I talk to you about something? Something that's bothering me." She's like, "Sure, what's going on?" It's like, "Well, some of my friends are at school, they're vaping." I'm like, really? And a couple of my friends were trying to get me to vape too, and they were teasing me. They were calling me a baby and making fun of me because I wouldn't vape with them. I'm like, okay, why didn't you? It's like, well, I know better than that. You don't do that type of stuff. Your kids are watching you.
Mhm.
Everything you say, everything you do, say you don't do that stuff. Why would I do it? That's not what you showed me. I'm like, that hit me so hard. Like,
Mhm.
wow. And it made me proud. Um, and then, similar fashion, my son, he was having some issues. Most of the kids their age, which is so weird to me, are having sex. And you know, yeah, and they were just talking about, whether they're being honest or not, still they're bragging about, what they've done, who they've done it with, or whatnot. And my son, he doesn't, I don't engage in those kind of conversations. I was like, why not? Because I'm not an idiot. I'm not a gangster. Like I didn't grow up like that. I'm like, I is this, when they get it. Now
Yeah.
they're knuckleheads. Good God, they are knuckleheads. But when it comes to like real issues, real topics, they get it. And when they said it's like because of me, what you showed me. I talk to my kids very earnestly and honestly about anything. We're very close. So that's made me the most proud.
Right. And I get it too. And you should be proud too, because I know you said your mom was it alcoholic or a druggie?
As drug use, yeah, she was
And you don't
heavily
do
addicted.
drugs. Yeah.
No, no, no,
Like
no.
for me, I never had the perfect childhood. But what I can say is I'm glad that my parents never gambled, they never smoked, they never did alcohol, they never did drugs.
Mhm,
Because it does reflect on us. Like
mhm,
sometimes I see my friends, like there's one in particular, her dad gambles,
mhm,
and it caused a lot of issues. So I'm grateful. I never had a perfect childhood, but grateful of my what we say in Jamaica brought up see.
mhm. Yeah.
Now, how do you balance being a nurturer and a provider without feeling overwhelmed? Because parenting is hard.
Man. I think I'm still in the midst of learning that lesson. My parenting style is like one thing I say to my kids, like you dictate my parenting style. I could be the cool dad, we can hang out, sing karaoke, play video games, watch movies on the couch, or I could be that disciplinarian, where we're having a GI party. We're cleaning the house from the top floor to the basement. We're cleaning everything, outside, inside. Um, the structure that I bring, again, I mean, I hate to really lean on it like that, but it's how I deal with my soldiers, especially when you start talking junior level. They're wild, they're fresh from home, and they're in a new place, and they no one could tell them what to do, and then there's me. It's like, yes, I can. um but the balance is, you know once you get that rhythm,
Mhm.
everything just seems to flow. So you can do more of um those things where you reward them.
Right. What was your rock bottom moment? Like you're overwhelmed.
Mm.
What was that like?
When I was retiring out of the army,
Hmm.
I got the kids now. It's us, just us.
Hmm.
And I had nothing going on though. I hadn't started school or anything, so I was just home.
Hmm.
And I was so used to that fast pace, that high op tempo, and being in charge too. I was in charge of, at one point I had like 1,600 troops. So I go from being the man to just dad on the couch.
Hmm.
And the kids, they went to school, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm still, I'm left with all my thoughts and emotions, and I had no way of getting them out. uh, at the time, I didn't realize that I even needed to get them. I'm macho man. I don't need to talk about my feelings. Um, but when you're alone, and then on top of that, my son got extremely sick. So, sitting in the emergency room with him, Jesus, I don't know. It had to be like 10 hours. But my daughter, trying to find somebody to bring my daughter up to the emergency room, because she was at school. I thought, we would be home by then. So she gets off the school bus, comes home like she's supposed to, and locks the door, but she's not answering her phone. And I'm like losing my mind. I have no one I can call to, go by the house and check on her. So I'm like, do I call the cops? And then like, well, you really left a 7-year old in the house by herself? It's like, oh my God. So uh but the with all that too, it's my bills. I wasn't getting paid, so I was flat broke. I thought that once I retired, like, I would still get paid my pension on the first and the 15th, like I was normally getting. But there's a gap. It's like a 3-month gap in between getting your retirement pay and your pension from once you get out. I did not know. So I had no money. I blew, the money I had in savings, trying to keep up with everything, as I was transitioning out of the military. So yeah, I was flat broke with, sick kids, dealing with PTSD and all these emotions now, bored out of my mind. I was losing it. I was losing it. And I had no one to call, no one to lean on. And then, the few people that I did try to reach out to, you know how it is when, it's like, if you need anything, call me.
Hmm.
So, okay, I call. It's like, man, I wish I could help, but, I'm
Right.
not, oh my God, here go all the excuses. And
Because
so
you have always been the one to take care of everybody.
that's a fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
So then, question. So how did you budget then and now manage your financing as a single parent?
Then my budgeting was very tight. It was strictly the necessities.
Ramen,
Man, you don't even know. We ate so much ramen.
mac and cheese.
Yeah, and they were young, so it was good. It was fun. I would get the big bag of great value nuggets from Walmart or something like that. It's like, yeah, that'll work. Um, but now I actually have a financial advisor
Mhm.
who helps me with my finances, my budgeting plans, helps me with my investments, and keeps me on track. You know, if I start spending too much,
Mhm.
which I don't, but it was one time that I actually splurged a little bit, and I got a phone call. So, but then my discipline, I wasn't disciplined at the time, because again, I didn't have to. I had a career that where everything was so regimented, everything was so structured. You knew you were going to get paid this exact amount on the first and on the 15th, and you had opportunities to get more money by deploying, which is a lot, or what they call temporary duties to different places. I was a trainer, or I go to some type of school, and again you get paid a lot of extra money. Hazardous duty pay, because I'm separated from my family. They give me extra money. Um, Money for food and things of that nature, which I didn't spend anything. I would just, I would rough it, and then I would come back with, again, like five, six, $7,000, just just to party. Um, so yeah, I didn't save, and I realized that was a dumb, dumb thing.
Yeah. So, all right, after facing that financial hardship, right? What was the lesson that you learned?
Mm.
And did you teach your kids that lesson?
Yeah, so the lesson I learned was definitely put money in your savings. Not just, which, I mean, if you can only afford a little, okay, but enough money where you could sustain your bills for a few months. I say 3 months at minimum, um where you can maintain your bills for at least 3 months. um and I taught my kids, I was like, it sucks having to eat ramen noodles every night and the great value chicken nuggets or whatnot. And we didn't even drink we didn't drink milk at the time. What was I can't remember, but anyway, it was a struggle. So it's like, I don't want to ever, go back into that. And even in that, we were more blessed than I was growing up. But that was like the hardest hardship for them.
Mhm.
And they didn't even realize, it was a thing. It was like, we got to eat chicken nuggets every night, whatever. But it's like realizing that I could have failed. I could have messed them up. I could have, lost my house possibly. I could have had my cars repossessed. 'Cause at the time I had four cars,
Mhm.
and none of them were paid off. So, it's just, I don't know, just not to live in excess either. Sometimes, you know, minimum is okay.
Right. So I hope everybody is taking notes to set aside emergency money. So question, where do you put your emergency money? Under the mattress, on a savings
No,
account, in a
no.
safe, on
So,
Bitcoin?
no, I said I have a financial advisor who I have money that's being invested. So there's money constantly coming in regardless.
Mhm.
And then I have a actual savings account for myself and my kids. And then I have my LLC, which again generates money. All the money I get from acting. So when I get my residual checks, I love seeing them come in. I don't touch them. I just throw them in, an account. It's sometimes, it could be a couple of $1,000s, and sometimes it's 87 cents. So you just don't know. But it's money I didn't have. I never, I don't depend on, because it comes like every quarter or so, depending. So I just put them to the side.
All right. And then, so what advice would you give single parents trying to save or to invest for their retirement and for their kids? Because, some people say, I don't have no money to save. I don't make enough. You're
Mhm.
lucky. What's your advice for somebody like that or somebody who has money coming in?
So I would say that you do have money. Again, I alluded to it earlier. You might not have as much as you would like. So when, again, I was starting over essentially, I was putting $20 a paycheck. That's it. I put $20 to the side per paycheck. So, twice a month I was basically putting $40 to the side once a month. And then, as my money started coming in, I was able to put a lot more to the side, but just something, anything, just a little something. Um, and I would liken that to, I'm sure everyone has this experience before. Have you ever, put on like say a winter coat, it's getting cold out, right? Put on a
Mhm.
winter coat and you dig in your pockets, like you find a $5 bill. It's like,
Mhm.
where did that what? It's like, right? It's like a happy surprise. Like it's
Yeah.
just $5, but it's like, right, it's
Yeah.
the best day of your life, right? So that's what that little quote unquote little bit of money is like. It's yeah, it's only $20, but it's only $20 until you really need $20. Then that $20 means everything. $40 means everything. So, I just started putting a little bit to the side, whatever I could. And then, when I needed to do something with my kids, it didn't hurt to take a little something out to splurge or to treat them or something. Or I had one situation where my water had gotten cut off,
Mhm.
and it was during the summer too. So my kids were outside playing, and my daughter came. She's like, "Dad, the water doesn't work." So I figured, they were probably working on the water main. But I
Mhm.
go outside, and all my neighbors had their sprinklers on. I'm like, "What?" So when I called the water company, they said that I hadn't paid my bill. I thought I had, but it slipped my mind. So another thing you want to do, parents, is make sure you have a list, an itemized list of what your bills are,
Mhm.
and what they normally should be. Again, that should be part of your budget, and schedule your payments, whether you pay them online automatically or in person. That was a mistake that I made because all my bills are usually come out automatic. When I was in the military, everything would come out automatically. Well, once I got out, again, I had to start this whole process all over again. Things are not automatic. So I would say definitely keep up on your bills. So I had to pay simple. It was only like $60. And then excuse me, another $60 for them to turn it on immediately. Or I could have wait, 24 hours for them to come. So uh
Right.
definitely
So
go ahead.
I
I'm sorry.
yeah, I use Excel where I list all my bills,
Yeah,
due dates,
yeah,
and when I pay them, I use colors. I would make it green. If
yeah,
it's coming up due, I'll put it orange. If it's like coming up like middle of the month, end of month, I put highlight yellow.
yeah,
I have a strategy because it's hard to keep up with everything, right?
yeah.
So I know you spoke about your mom a lot when I
Hmm.
knew you, and I know she helps.
Hmm.
You say she's like, especially when you're going through one of those PTS moments, and
Hmm.
when you're vibrating really low. In the spiritual
Hmm.
world, we say when you're vibrating really low. In the regular world, they say when you're depressed,
Yeah.
right? Who has been your biggest supporter, and how did they help out?
My mom by far. My mom by far. That's the one person, I know I can call on, I can count on. She stays with me now. Well, back and forth. But primarily she stays with me. And she's picked up a lot of the slack. So I can have those moments to explore whatever it is I want to do, whatever I want to venture to do. And when I'm having those extremely low vibration moments, as you put it, it's they're not as frequent as they were, a couple years ago.
Mhm.
But they're still prevalent.
Mhm.
So having my mom to talk to, and then sometimes it's not even a conversation. It's just knowing someone is there,
Mhm.
just in case. You're not alone.
Yeah, sometimes it's not that you want validation or advice. You just want
Hmm.
somebody to listen. Let me
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
speak my feelings because talking they say is therapy.
yeah.
Oh, did you create a village or a community for yourself and your kids? Like, Did you have babysitters? Did you have friends that you could leave the kids with?
No,
Mm-mm.
no. I wanted to, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how. I struggle with relationships.
Mhm.
That's my biggest hurdle to this day. I've always had that problem. I don't know why, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
Um, I think, well, yeah, I do. I know why. I was really close to my dad as a young kid. And when he and my mom separated, he just disappeared. And he was very abusive. He was extremely abusive to my mom and us, especially me, as the oldest son. But he still was my
Sorry, when you say abusive, is it mentally, emotionally, physically?
all of them. Yes, all of it. Yeah, he was very physically abusive. I mean, we can get into that for hours, but yeah, he was very, very, very physically abusive, very mentally and emotionally abusive. But again, I was like a puppy. You pop a puppy, they come right back. Just love me.
Mhm.
So I was like that with my dad. And then, again, when he and my mom split, he left and never looked back, never called, never made contact whatsoever. And I was 11. And the next time I heard from my father, I was 28. So, a significant amount of time had passed. But yeah, when my dad left, my mom and my dad separated, that's when we moved into the hood, into that environment. I didn't come from that environment originally.
Mhm.
I was, a military brat. And my dad was in the military and I don't know what all happened with his career, but one day he wasn't in the army anymore. So um, but again, it didn't matter. Like he was my world. And I think I struggled with my own identity for a long time.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, but then I realized that I couldn't be like him. I
Mhm.
didn't want to be anything like him, and I didn't want my kids to feel what I felt, which is why, again, I'm the single parent that I am, the father that I am, because I know what it feels like. Um, But I was saying when you said the community or villages, I have a hard time with relationships. I have a hard time trusting people. My kids are my everything. And if there was something to happen to one of my kids, I don't know how I would react, but I don't think it would be positive.
Mhm.
Whether it was an accident or not. I'm not overprotective, but I am protective of my children. Um,
Mhm.
Again, I don't want them to go through any of the hardships or feel any of the pain. But the world is going to do it, whether I protect them or not, because eventually they're going to have to venture out on their own. So, um, but no, I didn't have anyone, friends or close family besides again my mom that I could lean on for any support. I just did everything on my own.
And that was a part of you moving around a lot, right?
Part of it, yeah. Part of it, yeah. I mean, I have people that I was cool with, but I wouldn't necessarily say friends with. I would have people that I would talk to, but I didn't depend on. Like I was saying, my son had got sick. I didn't know who to call. I had no one like, oh, let me just call so and so, or go stay over at Miss Whatever's house, and until I get home. Like I didn't have any of that. So what I had to do is I had to leave the hospital. I snuck away. I
Mhm.
told the doctor I had to go to the bathroom, and I left the hospital flying. I got home and I grabbed my daughter and I got back up to the hospital. So the one thing that worked in my favor is that they were doing a shift change. So, I mean, you work, in that environment. So, sometimes those could take a minute.
Mhm.
Uh, so again, I was lucky um, that they were in the middle of a shift change when I was gone. So it didn't really affect anything.
All right. So now that you're not in military, do you have a community, as in a network group, or let's say resources like books and podcasts that you listen to that's helpful for you, like for personal development?
Yeah, now I do. Um, I have what do you call it? I have a mentor.
Mhm.
Uh female is female. She's old, very much older. I think she's even older than my mom. But she's very wise. And whenever I have questions or doubts or I need reassurance in that realm, I can definitely lean on. I still go to counseling therapy
Mhm.
um twice a month. um, there's a couple of podcasts uh, that I like to listen to, topic wise, just to help me um, understand where I'm at in life and where I want to go. Um, I took parenting classes, believe it or not. It's 10, well, yeah, I did. It's a 10-week course. I took parenting classes to help me deal with things. What I was saying as far as for disciplining my children, it's very easy. Again, how I was raised, just whoop them, beat
I
them.
love that.
That's easy. But it gets to a point too, a certain point where it's ineffective.
It's too
Uh,
much. Mhm.
yeah, so well, now what do you do? That's all you're used to is just beating them to death. So now what do you do? So, again, I took these parenting classes to teach me different techniques on how to, not just discipline them, but to guide them and get them to do the right thing anyway without having to even get to the point where you have to discipline them.
Right. So, all right. Something we parent don't do, especially single parents. What, how do you make time for yourself? Self-care, as people say, self-care. And why is this something that single parents should really be intentional about?
You said self-care. What does that mean again?
When you would take care of yourself, physically, mentally,
Man,
emotionally, something like that.
I think having younger kids, that's it's a little more difficult to do
Mhm.
because they require so much attention. And if you're a single parent with younger kids and you have a career, that's extremely difficult. But it's also imperative that you do make time for yourself to recharge your batteries because if you are a stark raving lunatic, if you're short tempered and mad, if you're tired, uh, then what are you going to display to your children?
Mhm.
If something were to happen to you, which is something I used to tell my mom a lot when dealing with my sister, because my mom was a single parent as well. She's like yelling and cussing and mad and whatever. I was like, you gonna let the girl give you a heart attack? Then what? Then what happens? So it's like uh, taking time for yourself, whether it's 20 minutes a day or a week vacation to I don't know someplace like Dubai. That, but taking that time for yourself. What I used to do is I would take a bubble bath every single night. That was my thing. Is
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
Aromatherapy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Aromatherapy. Yeah, is another. Yeah, I did. And I would get massages. I would go get a massage like maybe like once a month or something like that. A really good. I don't like deep tissue massages, but those hurt. But
Yeah.
something to help relax. Yeah.
All right. So I know I recommend taking I call it selfie vacation. Just me alone. Just me
Hmm.
alone. And even like if I was married right now, I need a selfie vacation where
Hmm. Hmm.
no kids, no husband, no
Hmm.
job or business, just step away and just kind of like catch your breath, calm the mind. So I
Hmm.
recommend that. So I
I
know
agree.
you just had a birthday. Happy
I
belated
did.
birthday. Was
Thank
that
you.
a selfie vacation when you went to
It. Yes. Oh my God. So, which is so funny because I haven't shared anything, I didn't take many pictures anyway, but I haven't shared anything because I just want it for me. I
You were
just want it for me.
present in the moment.
I was, yeah. It was, a couple of things, I took a few pictures of, but things that interest me. But other than that, it's like, no, I didn't want the affliction of having a phone, being attached to a phone. I'm attached to my phone all the time.
Mhm.
So if this is supposed to be a vacation where you're relaxed,
Right.
then why are you attached to your phone? So I would leave my phone in my room, when I would venture out. I'm not going anywhere but to the beach, or just walk around or just, take a drive, or whatever. But why do I need my phone? And again, I'm on the beach. I can't necessarily, you don't want to have your phone there,
Right.
get water damage or sand in it or whatever, in case you have to leave it in the car anyway or something. So I just left everything, and my kids were under very strict instructions, um, by grandma. Do
Mhm.
not call him or text him unless it's a life or death emergency, and they stuck to it.
I was just about to ask you, how did that work out?
Yeah, they stuck to it. I think she paid him now.
All right. So I've asked you this before. I
Mhm.
remember I was so stressed and I asked you, how do you stay motivated and positive through the really tough times? Because even if you don't have kids, you do have tough days. When you
Mhm.
have kids, it's a different hard. So how do you stay motivated?
So on the personal, excluding kids, again, I've been through way worse than this. Anything that life has to throw at me right now, I've been through extremely worse than this.
Mhm.
We get very entitled, we get very spoiled,
Mhm.
when we have a certain standard of living that we're accustomed to. So whenever there's a hardship that comes up, we tend to whine about it. When this is most people's everyday life, this is just your temporary. So I keep that in mind. When things come up, it's not that bad. The sun is still going to shine.
Mhm.
Tomorrow is a new day. Um, as far as now, what you were saying was very true. Being a parent, single parent, that's a different kind of
Hard.
stress. It's a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
Um, and it's one of those, like, you can't really put it into words what that really means. You just, if right? If
Yeah.
you have the experience, you'll understand what we're talking about. But even still, with that being said, it's like what I don't want my kids to do is to live in that moment.
Mhm.
Like, something is hard.
Mhm.
It's a struggle. We're going through whatever, but I don't want you to live in that moment because life is going to keep lifing. The world is going to spin. The sun is going to come up, and the moon is going to come up. So you can still be mad all you want. So my question to them every single time something happens is, what are you going to do about it?
Mhm.
You c- so once you get to the what you're going to do about it, then it helps you, push past, living in this particular moment, where I didn't get paid, or one of the pipes burst, or whatever you want to say. It's like, okay, so now what are you going to do about it?
So you see that question, that helps them to think because the
Hmm.
average people don't. So when they get older, if you keep consistently doing that,
Hmm.
that's gonna help them in their adulthood where struggle. Let me call daddy, daddy. Like
Yeah.
a friend of mine says his daughter called, Daddy, life is hard. That question, I'm telling you that question is gonna help them in their adult life.
Hmm.
All right. How has being a single parent shaped your personal growth? Because I know for me, when I hit those burnt out phase, it changes my personality.
Yeah.
So how has that shaped you?
So I have learned to be more calm and more patient.
Mhm.
Again, military background, I'm so used to, snapping my fingers and things get done without question.
Mhm.
Well, you have children, and now I have teenagers now.
Mhm.
So everything's a question, like, why? I don't get it. This is dumb. Well, he didn't have to do it. Why do I have to? It's like, oh my God. So, but yeah, just they've taught me how to remain calm, and how to handle situations differently than my instincts would dictate.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you this question, but don't give them too much of the juice. because I'm going
Okay.
to ask you that at the very end. Let them wait. But
Okay.
what are you currently working on now? So I know you're doing the acting. I
Yeah.
think you said you had a business.
Mhm.
How do you balance all of that with parenting? Know that you have teenagers.
Oh, sometimes it's a little easier because again they don't require as much attention. So I'm able to be gone for longer. To do a project. The business runs itself. The business runs itself. I really don't have to do anything as far as that go. Taxes all the time. Staying on top of paperwork. But yeah, just um again the trying to find that balance, I think, is probably like the crux of this entire conversation, is trying to find balance. And the way you find balance is, again, you have to set hard boundaries. You have to stick to those boundaries, though. It would be so much easier for me to wash their clothes, and that actually happened. Like, I was like, I'm not washing your clothes anymore. You guys are old enough, you can wash and dry your own clothes. And I don't know if you have, you know, dealt with boys or not before. I know you have your daughters, but boys are nasty and boys are lazy. So he didn't think that he had to wash his clothes, or I'll do it later. And it got to the point where he literally knocks on my door like, "Dad, I don't have any underwear." I'm like, "Sucks to be you. Sucks to be you." And he had ran out of clothes. He had no underwear. He had no socks. He had a shirt that he wore like on a Monday and his Thursday, and it's like, I'm gonna tell you, brother, it sucks. So he thought I was gonna
That
run to the
question,
store.
what are you gonna do about it?
That's Yeah, yeah. So he thought I was gonna run to the store.
Oh no.
And yeah, I'm like, no, no, no. Go to school and be the stinky kid. Go to school and you got stains on the front of your shirt from, didn't you wear that on Monday? Like, bro, you just wore that, like, feel that embarrassment.
Mhm.
And it only happens once. So he came home from school, and he's in the laundry room like a machine, and he even ironed his clothes and everything. I'm like, okay.
What's that one thing though that you wish you could have told yourself when you first became a single parent?
It's gonna be okay.
And you said that with a straight face, right?
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
No one is coming to save you.
Nobody's going to save you.
Yeah.
No. All right. So something everybody is probably wondering. What are your thoughts on dating as a single parent? Tough one.
You got to be. So I know it's different for men and women. Let me not say I know. I presume it's different for men and women. So as a father, I have to teach my son that having multiple women in and out is not a thing you want to do.
Mhm,
And I have to teach my daughter that you are one of one.
mhm,
So if daddy is bringing home this one and that one and this one and that one, then she thinks that that's okay as well.
mhm,
I also have to teach them have standards.
mhm,
I used to have a conversation with them because they all the time they was like, "What about her? And what about her?" I'm like, "Mm-mm." Said a lady, and it's like, "What do you mean?" So there's a difference between a woman and a lady. A woman has to announce herself, and you see women all the time, especially nowadays, in the era we live in. Everybody has the BBLs and all those stuff like that, and they want to have the smallest amount of clothing on, to get the maximum amount of attention. A
mhm,
lady doesn't have to do that. A lady doesn't have to announce her presence at all. you know she looks she's the most amazing person in the room, and every person in that room wants to talk to her, wants to know more about her, and she doesn't have to show anything. It's the intrigue, it's the mystery behind it. She's very articulate, how she comports herself. um, you know, doesn't have to have the highest degree of education,
mhm,
but she believes and she knows who she is. She's confident in all that. Um, Whether you want to talk to me or be around me or not, doesn't matter to a lady. It doesn't matter. She gets plenty of attention. So a lady will choose you. You don't choose her. And vice versa. A gentleman, there's plenty of guys. There's little boys in men clothing running around here.
Mhm.
and all they want to do is, put another notch in their belt, and they date, 5, 10, 15 women at a time, and play with their heart and lie about whatever, whatever. It's like, for what do you gain from doing that? A gentleman knows how to treat a lady, and a gentleman doesn't have to chase or beg for attention. A lady will see that and will automatically gravitate towards him. Will automatically want to do those things. And we start talking about being submissive. A lot of men want a woman to be submissive because I'm the man. Like, submit to what?
Mhm.
What are you doing to make me want to feel like that I can be submissive, that I can walk in my feminine energy? Are you opening the door for me? Are you greeting me? Are you flattering me? Because I get 50,000 DMs every morning telling me, whatever. I don't want to hear from. I want to hear from you. And I want it to be natural where I don't have to coax it out of you. Are you doing those little things? So a gentleman does those things innately. um, so having those type of conversations with my children, about dating. So if I ever was to date, or introduce someone to my children, it would be on that type of level where they would understand, like, okay, wow, like, it that person is definitely someone, of this ilk. Um, with that being said, too, dating requires attention, time and attention.
Mhm.
And being a single parent, you don't have a lot of time.
No,
Uh,
you need attention and she needs attention.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah,
kids need
absolutely.
attention.
But
So
it's
how do you
it's
balance that?
uh again, you got to set those boundaries. I've had to learn this, though. I had to learn this. Daddy time means just that. Daddy time. I'm going to go out. Uh, I'm going to be gone for, however long, or I'm spending the night, um those things. It just, I'm on the phone, I'm having a conversation with, you know said person. Don't come in my room all of a sudden. You know how this kid's all of a sudden like, can you help me? Did you see this? What are you doing? Who are you talking to? you
Always when
know
you need to do something, they come.
right? So
So
yeah, just finding that balance.
how do you or how did you introduce somebody who you really like and you think you want to go the next level? How did you introduce them to your kids
I've
or
only done it
got to that point?
Yeah, I've only done it once, and I did not do it the right way at all. Yeah, it was horrible. Um, yeah, I made every mistake possible. So, I I was talking to this young lady for a few months, you know, um, and I should have known better, because it was at her behest. She was really pushing it. I'm really good with kids. Oh, kids will love me. She didn't have children, by the way. But yeah, it's, oh no, I always get along with kids. Oh, just so forth and so on. So I'm like, fine. Um, so I invited her over to the house. I told the kids, hey, I'm gonna have a friend come over, and I'm cooking or whatever, which is one of my passions. So I'm cooking. The kids were really excited because I was cooking good food. So she comes over and everybody got quiet and they just sat on the couch and just looked at her. She's trying to greet them and talk to them, and they're just looking at her like, "Why are you here? What do you want?" So right, especially my daughter, she was not hearing it. But yeah, we all, we ate, watched a movie or whatever, and um my daughter was on one side of me on my arm and she was on the other. And my son was not paying attention. He's doing his own thing. But so my daughter, kept grabbing me, like, lean over so she can lay on me a little bit more. So I did this and then I get pulled on this side. And I'm like, I'm leaning towards my daughter. Like, and she had a full attitude. Yeah, it was an attitude. So it's kind of like now she's just sitting there, I don't want to engage. I don't want to, be a part of this. So once the movie was over, she's leaving. I'm walking her to the door. She's like, "No, I know how to get outside. I don't need any help." Like, what's wrong with you? And she just walked off. Got in the car. It's like, I was like, "Let me know once you made it home." She just drove off.
Wow.
So the text message I got, shortly after she left was like, "I didn't appreciate, um, you." What she say? I didn't appreciate you giving me the cold shoulder. Like, what do you mean? It's like, I was trying to lean on you, whatever, but I guess your daughter's more important. Yeah, yeah, she is. I need some daddy time too. Go find your daddy. It's like this isn't that this isn't that environment. My children will always come first.
Yeah.
Uh, and that set the tone for the very next time. We were supposed to go out. My daughter got sick. And I was like, hey, I hate to cancel on you, but my daughter is sick. She really's not feeling well. Fine, whatever. And just hung up. I was done.
That's not the right person.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
So
let me ask you this. So now you know better. You do
I
know
do.
better, right? So let's say, what do you do? Because like me, I was dating someone for 3 years.
Mhm,
We set a standard that Wednesday nights we're gonna hang out together.
mhm.
That's date night, me and you. Do you do something like that?
I have not. No, I haven't. I have dates with my children though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do not. I mean, I'm not, in any type of relationship. I haven't been in a relationship for years. So, but that's not a bad practice.
Try that though. Try that. What I'm learning to do on top of the selfie vacation is take myself on a date.
Mhm. I do
So
that.
I'll be traveling a lot next year and I'm making it an intention to enjoy life because all I do is work home, work home, work home, kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm setting the intention that okay, if I go to a new city, especially a city I always wanted to go, like take time to go on an excursion or a
Mm-hmm.
nice restaurant, So
Mm-hmm.
I think you can try that with
Mm-hmm.
dates and just set a boundary that hey, I really like this person. I want to see where it goes. Because you have to invest in the relationship. Wednesday nights or whatever, Sunday, just me and her.
Mm-hmm.
It
No,
really.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
All right. What's one misconception about single parents that you'd like to clarify?
Men can be single parents too.
Yeah.
I know that's not really the answer, but I had to put that out there. I don't know how many times, especially at the school, like right now, it's the holidays are coming up. So my kids are they have this weird schedule where they go in and take an exam in the morning, and then if I want to, I can go pick them up, or they can just sit at school for the rest of the day. Excuse me. So I'll go pick them up. And every day when I go to the front office to sign them out, they look at me like,
Here.
who are you? Yeah, it's like, so where's the mom? Or my son, he has really bad asthma. So I had to pick him up from school for a doctor's appointment. And again, where's their mom? Why are you here? I'm like, because I'm the dad and I'm taking my son to his appointment. So it's just weird. I keep getting, asked these weird questions. Did she die? Is there something wrong? It's like, wow. Yeah. If it was the other way around, it wouldn't be no issues though. So
Yeah.
um, but I would say the biggest misconception about being a single parent is that it's easy. You're better off. Um, no, you're not. I mean, probably personally you are better off from dealing with your ex-partner, but being a single parent is extremely difficult and it takes more than just you. Um so don't think that it's just this easy thing because you or I make it look easy now. This is years years of doing this, and it's not easy. We make it look easy. So yeah, don't think that this is easy.
And what advice do you have for someone who just became a single parent or has been a single parent for years or a while?
The advice I would say is something that I didn't do in the beginning, I failed to do, is definitely get your community.
Be all right.
That's that too. Uh, but Yeah, you need to build your community. You need to get your support system, a robust support system. And everybody needs to be pulling from the same thread. It's difficult if you have a support system, but they don't share the same beliefs as you do as far as for parenting style. There was a very extremely brief moment when my sister came. Actually, she just came to visit, but my sister is that I don't know. She's wild. Let's just say that. So she came, and I had the kids on a bedtime schedule. Upstairs at 8, lights out at 9. We got school tomorrow. I come home and it's 11:30, and my son is playing video games, and my daughter's in the
Right.
bed eating cookies and watching TV. I'm like, what in the Oh, stop tripping, man. Let them have a little fun. You used to do it. You remember how we used to do it. It's like, no, 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 no. This is a different environment. It's a different era. And again, I'm having structure. We didn't have structure, which is why we failed a lot and dealt with some of the things we dealt with. So no. So it was just, yeah. Make sure you have a robust community that all have the same ideologies as you.
What's, and I'm asking this because my parents got divorced when I was in prep school. I was about 11. And I think, even though she thinks she's not strong, I think I saw my mom gain her strength as a woman. And I learned, my parents co parent. And when I moved to the US, it was just me alone. Culture shock, right? But
Hmm.
when I became a single mom, I remember, my parents getting divorced, and my mom trying to juggle 3 kids, even though my sister and brother was an adult and a business. And so I grew up and I saw that strength as a woman. And it was almost like I just snapped right into it, where
Hmm.
I just had to toughen up
Hmm.
because nobody was going to come and save me, right?
Hmm.
So so I saw that from my parents. What's one thing you would want your kids to learn from your journey as a single parent?
I have this conversation with them almost daily. School, education. So, when they talk about school, they whine about, how hard it is and things of that nature. I was like, you watch me go to school. You watch me go through forensic cyber intelligence. You saw me struggle. You saw me stressed out, and I was stressed out. You saw me sitting for hours, sometimes 24 hours. And this happened multiple times where they would wake up and I was at a computer, and they would go to bed. I was at a computer, and they would wake up the next morning. I was still there, like stressed out, 15 cups of coffee. But I graduated literally the top of my class. And so it's like, I want them to see you put in the hard work, you will definitely get the reward. It's
Mhm.
hard, it's difficult. Some people, it just innate. It just comes to them. They understand things. And then a lot of others, most of us, you have to work at it. You have to study hard. You have to apply yourself. You have to be disciplined. And again, having these conversations now that they're, in high school, and the workload is different.
Mhm.
It's a little bit harder, it's a little faster paced, and watching them study now, the way they study now, it's they are there, on the weekends, like, nope, they can't go outside, they can't play video games. They're disciplining themselves to, from this time to this time, I'm gonna apply myself and study, and then I'll enjoy myself, a little bit later, or I'll take a break. And that's one thing I didn't do, is I didn't take a break. I was just like a machine. But they was like, we saw you get burnt out,
Mhm.
and stressed out. So, and that's one of the things that I'm proud that they gleaned from me, and that they've learned, and continue to learn.
And what legacy or impact do you want to leave for your kids?
The easy answer is generational wealth.
Mhm,
I think that most of us, that's what we strive for.
mhm,
And we've put certain metrics in place to where, whether they actually gain it, monetarily, like you're able to leave them this huge nest egg behind, or more so that you give them the tools, the proper tools, so they can arm themselves to earn, and to build on what you left. So, um, my legacy to my kids is that hard work, dedication, determination would definitely get you to where you want to go. This is my ceiling. My ceiling is your floor. So you should definitely, you know, where you're starting off in life, you're starting off, pretty
I
close to the top. Yeah. So by the time you're my age, and hopefully I'm still alive to see this, you should have double, if not triple, you know, what I've accomplished, you know. So it's definitely available. It's definitely out there. You can do it.
All right. So here's the juice question. Give us a quick summary of what your acting career has been
Mhm.
and what's next.
What's next? Quick summary, of what my acting career has been. I booked my very first role. It was on network TV, on Ion TV, when I was still in acting class. And from there, I booked a TV series that was just a pilot. Didn't think it was going anywhere, and now, it got picked up, by a network, coming out soon, and looks like we're going to get season two, as well. So, but I've booked so steadily, over the past 5 years, I think it's been, that it's kind of weird to even talk about it. Like, I don't remember a lot of stuff. It's like I did do that, but it feels great, to have accomplished that much in a short amount of time. I'm not nowhere near where I want to be, where I think I should be, but it's baby steps. I have I have a pretty big movie coming out. I did a movie called Jurassic Games 2,
Mhm.
out in Oklahoma. Uh, a lot of it's green screen, pretty big set, a pretty big budget film. A lot of, known talent is on this. That's coming out hopefully next year sometime. The TV series, like I said, should be coming out the first quarter. It's called
Mhm.
Spilled Paint. And then, but my next big move is I'm, producing my own film. I've
That- that's the answer I wanted to hear.
Yeah, yeah. I've written three scripts already.
Mhm.
I've consulted with a production team. So it's just finding actors and finding time to do it. Yeah. So, but I don't want to. I've been on a lot of projects. Not everything has been a home run. So I've been on a lot of projects that were just, why am I here? What am I thinking? Just horrible, very unorganized. And the movie didn't go anywhere. It was just, I did it. Uh, I don't want to have anyone to have that experience with me. So I know, I set my standards very high. So when I come out of the box, if I'm going to actually do it, then I want it to be one of those things like, oh, he's for real. I want to turn heads. I want eyebrows to raise. You're going to notice me. So I don't want to do it cheap. I don't want to do it lazily. I want to cut corners. So, which is why I'm taking my time, so I can invest the time and the money, and find the proper actors to do it right.
I have an off the wall question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask this for all my podcast interviews.
Mhm.
If you had the choice, if I was a genie and I
Mhm.
said, where would you want to be right now? You could be anywhere you want to be in this world. Where would you want to be right now?
Antigua.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, me
I'm
either.
sure it's pretty similar to Jamaica.
Yeah, Antigua. I wanna lay on a beach somewhere tropical with the water so clear that you can see all the way down to the bottom, and eat papayas and coconuts and mangoes until I pass out.
Coconuts. All right, I asked you a million questions. I'm going to give you the pleasure of asking me just one question.
Ooh,
Not too personal.
no, of course not. Um, Being a single mother of daughters, what's the one lesson that you really want them to learn as it pertains to adult life for them?
All right. I would say, after all I've been through, and I think this is actually something my parents drilled into me daily, was to be independent.
Mm,
And so when I moved to the US, it was because I grew up, I had nannies, we had drivers, you know, we weren't rich, but we had the necessary things. And so when I moved to the US, it was like you have to do everything by yourself. And I was living by myself. So I had the luxury. I mean, it wasn't a mansion, it was a small two-bedroom townhouse of having my own place. And it was something my dad sacrificed. And he was like, have your own things. And I see, even though, I had that luxury, there were times when I stayed with family and I see what he was saying. Like, there's nothing like having your own.
hmm
And he said that as a woman, if you're in a relationship and you're not happy, you have your own. And if even if you don't have your own, you can afford to get out of that relationship. And at that same townhouse, I had a neighbor where she was married to this guy. I think they were from Trinidad. She was Jamaican, but the husband was Trinidadian. And he would physically abuse her. And she wanted to leave. And actually saw her left, moved out a couple of times, but she came back. Why? Because she had a part-time job and she couldn't leave. She couldn't afford to take care of herself alone.
mm,
I would want my kids to be independent and I want them to be happy. I don't tell them I want you to be a doctor when you grow up or I want you to marry this type of person because I heard that growing up. And
hmm
I think it's conformity
hmm
because a lot of us, we do that conformity thing. And when we're in it, because I'm speaking from experience, I'm like, this can't be life.
hmm
This cannot be life. Like going to school, and I did well at it. I was on honor roll, I got a job, and here you are trying to climb that corporate ladder. And there were moments I'm like, wait a second. I grew up seeing my parents as entrepreneurs having several businesses. But why did they tell me go to school, get good grades, and get a good job? Like it don't make sense.
hmm
I think now that I know and experience that, it was conformity. So I want them to do what they want to do, what brings them
hmm
joy. And I don't instill certain things like you have to be a doctor or you have to marry this kind of person because my mom's side is Indian. So it's like my grandmother used to say, marry an Indian man, never marry a black man.
hmm
I was the outlaw. I'm gonna marry a black man. Right? So yeah, I want them to be as adults, I want them to be independent. And I train them now as kids to be independent and to have a mind of their own. Like that question. So what are you gonna do about it?
hmm
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, very good answer. I love it. Actually, that's really good. I have those conversations with my daughter multiple times. Like, never be dependent on a man.
Mhm.
And the conversation I had with my son was just the opposite. Never make a woman dependent on you. Because although we're having this, it's kind of lighthearted conversation, that could be dangerous as well. You're so dependent on this man. He said the gentleman was very abusive. you're staying in a very abusive relationship, and that could be your life, at any moment.
Mhm.
This person can take your life, and vice versa. You have someone who's solely dependent on you, and you decide, nope, it's over. And people snap. you know People snap, like, no, you're not leaving me. You're not it's like, so you don't put yourself in that position, to where you have to depend on someone, or someone is so dependent on you that they can't do things on their own.
You feel trapped and imprisoned.
Hmm.
All right, so now that we've come to the end of the interview, I just wanted to say thank you so much because you never had to do the interview, even though we're friends, you didn't have to. Um, and your story, your life, I think it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
It is. And I think, and I'm probably sure you have those moments where you look back and you're like, wow, I'm right here. I mean, we go
Yeah.
through that. I want more, but it's okay. It's natural to want more, but I think you're truly blessed, and
Yes.
I think you're probably more grateful than someone who never had a tough upbringing. I think
I
so.
would say I would say you're right. That's where my motivation comes from, to do everything. So, I mean, I did music. I was a bodybuilder. Acting. I was a cook for a little bit. I got a scholarship, to go to cooking culinary art school. I'm an artist. I draw. I paint. I do music. Just like, just multifaceted in that respect, because as a kid I was trying to find different outlets to keep me from being outside doing other things.
Hmm.
And I used to get teased a lot because I was just that weird kid in the hood. They didn't wear my pants sagging or talk a particular like type of way. Or this is the first time I had cornrows in my head, but it's for a movie. So yeah, so I had to do this. But I never did the things that everybody else did. I didn't fall into those, a lot of those traps. Although, I was a knucklehead at one point. Um, but you just get to that point where, we now that we're at this age and this level of accomplishment, like you said, I just want to do things. I want to travel. Um, see the world. I mean, our upbringing was different, but in some ways very similar.
Hmm.
um People from where I grew up, they don't know anything about, Antigua. What's Antigua? Or places like that. Yeah, right, things like that. So it's like, a big deal from them is, going to Florida,
Mhm.
or Las Vegas. Like, I mean, that's cool, don't get me wrong, but nah, there's a whole world out there.
Yeah. So listen, again, thank you for doing this podcast.
Hmm.
I think your story is inspiring. I think you're inspiring, even though you may not think that. But I'm looking for great things in the future as far as acting. And I also want to challenge you to take more selfie vacations
Yeah.
to enjoy life. Because
Yeah.
let me tell you, my whole 2025 is it's done. Like I didn't buy the big ass calendar, but I created my own big ass calendar. And let me tell you, the whole year is booked. I made it an intention that I'm going to create memories. And that's going to be a solo podcast that I do. I really challenge you to just go there and enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
You deserve to have a really good life. And I want to see that.
you're right, actually, and I accept that challenge.
All right, done deal. Thank you so much, Branson. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
You